We continue the Gemara now on the top of Daf Tes Amud Aleph in Maseches Brachos. This is Maseches Brachos, Daf 9a. The Gemara just left off with a statement from Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai in the name of Rabbi Akiva that a person can fulfill his night Kriyas Shema and his day Kriyas Shema if he says Shema before Hanetz Chama and after Hanetz Chama. And the Gemara noted a contradiction that on the one hand you said he fulfills his night Kriyas Shema obligation before Hanetz Chama, but on the other hand you're calling it the daytime. How does that work? The Gemara now answers, Lo, no. Li'olam yamamahu. Really, before Hanetz Chama is daytime. V'hayda leilelia. The reason why it's called night, the ika inshi daganu b'hayishaita. There are people who are sleeping at that time, and the obligation of the night Kriyas Shema is simply to say that Kriyas Shema at the time the people are lying down, as it says b'shach b'cha, and therefore a person can recite Kriyas Shema before Hanetz Chama and fulfill his nighttime Kriyas Shema, after Hanetz Chama and fulfill the daytime Kriyas Shema, even though both are really referred to as the day. Amar Rabbi Acha Rabbi Chanina Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rabbi Acha Rabbi Chanina says in the name of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, halacha Rabbi Shimon she'amar misham Rabbi Akiva. The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon, who says in the name of Rabbi Akiva, we do fulfill both obligations. If you recite before Hanetz Chama and after Hanetz Chama, you will fulfill your daytime and your evening obligation. Amar Rabbi Zeir says, Uvilvad shelo yomer hashkivenu, as long as you do not say hashkivenu. Rashi here explains what does this mean. Uvilvad shelo yomer hashkivenu, top corner of the page, hakore kriyas shema shalai l'shacharis, samach l'amad hashachar. If a person reads Kriyas Shema, the night Kriyas Shema, close to Amud Hashachar, lo yomer hashkivenu. Even though he's doing the night Kriyas Shema, he should not say the bracha of Hashkivenu, which normally accompanies the Kriyas Shema of the night. She'ein od zman tchilas shchiva, el zman sof shchiva. This is already the end of the time of lying down, not the beginning. So you don't say Hashkivenu if you're at the end of the time of lying down. That is a bracha that is specifically said when you are going to sleep, not when you're getting close to the time of waking up. Ki asa Rav Yitzchak bar Yosef, Amar had Rabbi Achab, Rabbi Chanina, Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Lav beferish itmar ella michlala itmar. So when Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef came, he said this statement of Rabbi Acha, Rabbi Chanina, in the name of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, was not said beferish. It was actually implied in the following case. There were once a pair of Rabbanan, a pair of rabbis who got drunk at the wedding of the son of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Asu lakami Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. They came before Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Amar, and he said, Kedai hu Rabbi Shimon lismoch olav b'shas hadachak. You can rely b'shas hadachak. In this situation, it's a shas hadachak. You can rely on Rabbi Shimon, and you can still fulfill your obligation of Kriyas Shema. So it wasn't that Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said beferish outright, or Rabbi Achab, Rabbi Chanina, in the name of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said beferish outright that the halacha was like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. It's just that this happened, and he implied that that is the halacha like Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai b'shas hadachak. The case over here was they slept a little bit till after Amud Hashachar already. When they went overtime, they wanted to know if they still had an opportunity to say the Kriyas Shema, and he said that since it is a Shas HaDachak, you may say Kriyas Shema. Gemara now continues, quoting from the Mishnah, Ma'isa Shabo Bonov. There was a story where the children of Rabbi Gamliel came, and again, they had been up all night, and the question was, can they say Kriyas Shema? And he said, as long as the daytime has not come, you could still say the Kriyas Shema of the evening you have all night. So the Gemara asks, V'yad hashta lo shemiya lehu had Rabbi Gamliel. Until then, the children of Rabbi Gamliel had not heard his own psak. So the Gemara explains like this, Hachi ka'amri. Here's what they were really saying to him. Rabbanan pligi lavech v'yachid v'rabim halachik rabim. Is it that the Rabbanan argue upon you, and when it's a Yachid, an individual against a Rabbim, against many, the halacha is like them, the halacha is like the Rabbanan? Or perhaps the Rabbanan really do hold like you anyway. And the reason why they say you have until Chatzos is in order to distance a person from Aveira, but really you have all night to say the Kriyas Shema. Amar Lahu, he said to them, Rabbanan kivasi sviralahu. The Rabbanan hold like me. And really you are obligated in Shema, and that which they say until Chatzos, it is in order to distance a person from Aveira. Two dots. The Gemara now quotes the Mishnah. Velo zu bilvad amru ella v'chulu. The Mishnah said that not only in this case of Kriya Shema, but any case where the Chachamim said you have until Chatzos, you actually have all night. This was just a way to distance people from doing an Aveira. The Gemara now says, V'Rabbi Gamliel, Miko Amar Ad Chatzos, Dekatoni Velo zu bilvad. What's going on? Rabbi Gamliel was not the one that made this statement. Why are we going off of the statement of Rabbi Gamliel to say that any time until Chatzos, this is really the halacha? Rabbi Gamliel never said that. So the Gemara answers, Amru hachi ko amar lahu Rabbi Gamliel livnei. So they answered that here's what Rabbi Gamliel was telling his sons. Here's how you should read the Mishnah. Afilu l'Rabbanan deka'amri ad Chatzos. Even according to the Rabbanan who say you only have until Chatzos, mitzvasa ad sheyala amur hashachar, the real mitzvah is until amur hashachar, until dawn, v'hai deka'amri ad Chatzos, and that which they say until Chatzos, kedei laharchig adam minhu aveira, it is only to distance a person from aveira. So the Gemara essentially is saying this was not Rabbi Gamliel saying his own opinion. He was saying even according to the Chachamim, as we said before, you really have all night, and Chatzos is just in order to distance a person from potentially doing an aveira. One of the cases of the Mishnah was Hekter Chalavim. The Mishnah listed various cases which you really have all night. Burning the fats and the limbs upon the Mizbeach was one case where you have all night. And now the Gemara asks, V'ilu achilas psachim lo katani. Whereas the eating of the Karban Pesach is not listed in our Mishnah. It's not listed as one of the things that can be done all night. Urimini, we have a contradiction from a Braisa. It says in the Braisa, Kriyas Shema Arvis, V'halel B'leile Psachim, V'achilas Pesach, Mitzvah Sanat Sheyale Amur HaShachar. All three of these things, Kriyas Shema, Halel on the night of Pesach, and also the eating of the Karban Pesach, the mitzvahs until Amur HaShachar. So here in this Braisa, Achilas Pesach, the eating of the Karban Pesach is listed, whereas when it comes to the Mishnah, it's not listed what's going on. So the Gemara answers, Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, Lo kasha, it's not difficult. Ha Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, ha Rabbi Akiva. There actually is a machlokus between Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva on this issue regarding the Karban Pesach. How long do you have to eat the Karban Pesach? And that's why our Mishnah does not list Karban Pesach as something that has all night, whereas the Braisa does. And now the Gemara quotes the Braisa, which gives us machlokas between Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva Detanya. We learned in a Braisa, V'achlu es habasar balayla hazeh. We eat this meat on this night. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, Nemar kan balayla hazeh, v'nemar lahalon v'yavarti beretz Mitzrayim balayla hazeh. It says by the Makas Bechoros, I'm going to go in Eretz Mitzrayim on this night. The same term is used in both places. Ma lahalon ad chatzos, afkan ad chatzos. Just like over there it was chatzos, so to over here you have only until chatzos, only until midnight to eat the Karban Pesach. Amar le Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva said back to him, V'alo kvar nemar b'chipazon. It also says the term b'chipazon, which darshans ad shas chipazon, until the time of chipazon, until the time they were rushing out of Mitzrayim, implying they have all night to eat the Karban Pesach. Im kein ma talmud lomar balayla, and if so, why does it say balayla at night? Yachol yehei nachol kekadshim biyom, because I might think you only have the daytime to eat it like kadshim. Talmud lomar balayla. So the pasuk therefore says balayla at night. Balayla hu nachol v'lo bayom. It's eaten during the night and not during the day. Now, what does the Gemara mean over here when the Gemara says that I might think that you only have the only the daytime to eat and not the night? Rashi explains over here as follows. Yachol yehei nachol keshar kachim biyom shchitaso. Most other kachim are eaten on the day that it is shechted, kederech toda, like a carbon toda. She'af hi zman achilasa yom echad v'ochel v'holech kol yom shchitasa v'halayla ad haboker. Kedin toda dechsib yom karbano yeyachel. I might think that this is eaten similar to the carbon toda, the day that you shechted and then through the night. So that's why the Gemara over here says no, Karban Pesach is different. Karban Pesach is only eaten during the night. So again, balai lehunechel v'lo b'yom. But the point of the Gemara here is that even though it's eaten at night, you have until shas chipazon, until the time that they were leaving Mitzrayim in a hurry, and therefore you actually have all night, and that's the machlokas between Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva, and that's the machlokas between our Mishnah and the Braisa. So now the Gemara says, Bishlam ala Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. I understand according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who says that you only have until Chatzos to eat the Karban Pesach, the Islay Gezerah Shava. He has a Gezerah Shava that he makes from the term Balayla Hazeh. Itzrich lemichtav le hazeh. So he's using the word hazeh as well. Balayla hazeh is entirely used. Elul Rabbi Akiva, but according to Rabbi Akiva, Hai Hazeh my Ovidli. You don't need the word Hazeh at all. What does he do with the word Hazeh? Because the word Balayla, according to Rabbi Akiva, just taught us that we eat it at night, not during the day. Why does it have to say this night? So the Gemara says, this actually comes to exclude, potentially you might have thought that you can eat it on a different night as well. Why? So the Gemara explains, since both Karban Pesach and a Karban Shlamim are considered Kodshim Kalim, just like a Shlamim is eaten for 2 days and 1 night, so maybe the Karban Pesach is eaten 2 nights instead of 2 days. Maybe the way the Karban Pesach really should work is you eat it at night, then the following day, the first day of Pesach, and you can eat it the second night of Pesach as well, and it would kind of be the inverse equivalent of a Karban Shlamim. Kamash Malon Balayla Hazeh. That's why the pasuk says on this night, Balayla who's Hazehu Nechol Ve'eno Nechol Balayla Acher. It's eaten on this night and not any other night. So what does Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah? How does he learn out that it's not eaten for 2 nights and 1 day? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah milososiru ad boker nafka. That he learns out because it says don't leave it over until morning, and it means the first morning. You have 1 night to eat it, and you don't leave it over until the first morning. Rabbi Akiva responds to that, I mehasam hava amina. If from there I might have thought my boker sheni, that the word boker means don't leave it over until the second morning, and again you would have 2 nights. You'd have 1 night, then the following day, then the following night to eat it. 2 nights in a day. Don't leave it over to the second morning. That's why you need Balayla Hazeh to tell you it's referring to the first morning. Rabbi Elazar Amar Lach, and Rabbi Elazar will say to you, Kol Boker Rishonu. When the Torah says the word Boker, it always means the first morning. So to summarize here, we basically have a machlokas, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says you have until Chatzos to eat the Karban Pesach. He learns this out from Balayla Hazeh. It's a Gezei Reshava, Balayla Hazeh to Makas Bechoros. You have until Chatzos. Rabbi Akiva says no, he learns from Bechipazon, that you have all the way until the morning. Balayla just teaches that you should eat it at night, not during the day. And why does it say Hazeh? According to Rabbi Akiva, to tell you have just 1 night, not 2 nights and a day. And Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says we already know that from Loso Siru Mimenu ad Boker. Boker means the first morning. Rabbi Akiva says, I might have thought Boker meant the second morning. Gemara now continues. Vahani Tanoi, Kahani Tanoi. This machlokas Tanoim that we just mentioned, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah versus Rabbi Akiva, that is the same as the following machlokas Tanoim. The Tanya we learned in a brisa, Sham Tizbach es Pesach bo Erev, Kevo Hashemesh, Moed Tzeis Chami Mitzrayim. You're going to shech the Karban Pesach bo Erev in the evening, Kevo Hashemesh at sunset, Moed Tzeis Chami Mitzrayim, the time you leave Mitzrayim. They're giving you 3 time periods here, and we're going to have a machlokas between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua. How do you interpret these 3 time periods? Rabbi Eliezer says, Bo erev ata zoveach. In the evening you slaughter. Uchevo hashemesh ata ochel. And then at sunset is when you begin to eat. Umoed seis chami Mitzrayim ata sorif. And at the time of leaving Mitzrayim is when you burn the carbon. Rabbi Yoshua says, Bo erev ata zoveach. In the evening is when you shecht. Kevo hashemesh ata ochel, and sunset is when you eat. V'ad mosai ata ochel v'holech, and until when do we eat? Ad moed seischem Mitzrayim, until the time we left Mitzrayim. So the question here is, it seems like Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua are actually saying the same thing. What is the machlokas? We have to turn to Rashi over here to understand the machlokas. So Rashi explains as follows: Ad mosai ata ochel, hainu k'Rabbi Akiva, avol l'tanakama ad chatzos laila havizman achila. Vesulo. So he explains that according to the first Tana, it is only until Chatzos that you can eat it, and according to Rabbi Akiva's opinion, you have until for the entire night. De'ilo my beinayu. If we don't interpret it in that fashion, we really wouldn't understand the difference between Rabbi Akiva and the Tanakam over here and Rabbi Eliezer. Then we went on to understand the difference between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua. So what emerges over here is that when Rabbi Yoshua says Ad Masai Ata Ochel V'Holech, he means to say Ad Moed Seis Chavim Mitzrayim, you have all night until the morning. And then when Rabbi Eliezer says Umoed Tzeis Chami Mitzrayim Ata Soref, he means to say you only have until Chatzos. So that machlokas, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua, is the same machlokas that we saw before between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Now the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Abba, the Gemara now is going to explain how we learn out this drasha. Amar Rabbi Abba explains. Hakol modim, everybody agrees. Kishenegalu Yisrael miMitzrayim lo nigalu elo bo'erev. The Jews were redeemed from Mitzrayim. Klal Yisrael was redeemed from Mitzrayim in the evening. Shenemar, like it says, Hotziacho Hashem Elokecha miMitzrayim laila. Hashem took you out at night. Ukesheyatzu lo yatzu ela biyom, and they left in the morning during the day. Shenemar, like it says, Mimachras haPesach yatzu b'nei Yisrael biyad Rama, on the day after the Korban Pesach, the b'nei Yisrael left with a mighty hand. Al man nechliku al shas chipazon. The real machlokas over here is, what does the word chipazon, the time of hurrying out of Mitzrayim, what is that time? Rebbe Lazar ben Azariah savar my chipazon de Mitzrayim. Rebbe Lazar ben Azariah says the word chipazon actually means the kind of hurriedness of Mitzrayim during Makas Bechoros, when there was chaos. That's the chipazon, that's chatzos, that's the time that you have to eat the Korban Pesach until. Rabbi Akiva savar, and Rabbi Akiva holds my chipazon de Yisrael. The word chipazon really means you have until the time that the Jews, the Klal Yisrael, was hurrying out in the morning, the chipazon of Klal Yisrael. And that essentially is the machlokas. So what we have over here again, machlokas Rabbi Akiva and Rebbe Lazar ben Azariah is the same machlokas as Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua, and it's all a question of how we understand the psukim. When do we say that you have to eat the Korban Pesach until? Here the Gemara is saying it's dependent on what is the word chipazon referred to. Is it the chipazon of Mitzrayim or the chipazon of Klal Yisrael? Tanya nami hachi. We have a brisa like this as well. Hotziacha Hashem Elokecha miMitzrayim laila. It says that Hashem took you out of Mitzrayim at night. V'chi b'layla yatzu v'alolo yatzu ela v'yom. They didn't leave at night. They left during the day. What's going on over here? Shenemar, like it says, Mimachras haPesach yatzu b'nei Yisrael biyad Rama. They left the day after the Korban Pesach during the morning. Ela melamid she'ischilo lahem geula mibo erev. Rather, you see from here that the redemption is considered to have begun in the evening and culminated in the morning. Two dots here at the bottom of the page. Daber na bi'oznei ha'am. Speak please to the nation. Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, please speak to the nation that they should take spoils from the Egyptians, from the Mitzrayim, before they leave. Amri devei Rabbi Yanai. They said in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yanai, Ein na el lashon bakasha. Na is a language of bakasha. Please, it's a request. Please take from them the gold and silver. Amar le HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Bevakasha mimcha leich ve'emor lahem liYisrael. Please tell Klal Yisrael, Bevakasha mikem, please shalom miMitzrayim klei chesed v'klei zav. Please ask from the Mitzrayim, ask from the Egyptians for silver and golden vessels. Shelo yomar, that he shouldn't say, and the Gemara will continue now on Daf Tes Amud Beis. We'll continue in the next video to see why it is that he had to make a special request that the Jewish people ask for gold and silver from the Egyptians.